So the SDR becomes effective today. Nigeria gets $3.35 billion. What will this do to the FX space and the economy in general? Well, we have Andrew Nevin, the chief economist at PwC Nigeria, to tell us. Good morning, Mr. Andrew. Good to have you on the show.
Good morning.
So
Nigeria, it's great to be here.
Yeah, so Nigeria gets $3.35 billion today, special drawing right. What impact should Nigerians expect from this?
Well, I mean, remember, when we say we get 3.35, we're not getting that in cash. It's like you've gone to the bank and the bank is giving you an overdraft, and then you need to be wise about when you need your overdraft. So I'm not sure it has an immediate impact. I mean, it certainly helps the Nigerian federal government manage the economy and make sure that we're not going to have an FX crisis, so to speak. But I think we're in the same position we were last week, basically, which to us has been very simple. We've been very clear for 4 or 5 years at PwC. There's no debt crisis in Nigeria. I mean, our debt is very manageable if we grow the economy. So if we don't grow, we're going to have problems. If we grow, we're going to have problems. So when we grow at 1 or 2% a year, it puts tremendous pressure. But if we grew the way that we think the economy should grow, 6 to 8% a year, or as a central bank governor said, at 10% a year or double digits, we would not have any debt issue. We wouldn't even be having this conversation about $3.35 billion, which is not actually a lot of money in the scheme of the Nigerian economy.
Okay, but you did say that we don't have a debt crisis in Nigeria, and you know the debt stock of the country has been in the conversation in the business space for a while now. What do you mean by that? Because when we say that Nigeria is using about 98% of its revenue to service its debts, then people would not agree with you that we don't have a debt crisis in the country.
Well, what we have is a growth crisis. The way we put it is very simple. If we don't grow, we're going to have crisis. You can call it a debt crisis, an economic crisis. But we need to grow the economy. We need to grow headline GDP. The problem the country has is that we've been growing at 1 or 2%. And of course, we put forward a number of ways to address this. But the number one way that we have said consistently for the past few years and put out the big paper on was Nigeria has too many dead assets. So Nigeria is a very rich country. It has a lot of assets, but those assets are not producing a return. So one class of assets that's not producing a return is real estate. So we're not doing very well in the real estate sector. People aren't buying homes. They aren't able to get mortgages. Another class of assets that are dead are government assets. So if you look at Agio Foods of Steel or the refineries that cost us money that rather than produce a return. So what we've said is we need to unlock the dead assets. If we unlock the dead assets, the economy grows, we'll be fine, and no one will be talking about our debt because it's relatively low. If we don't unlock the assets, yes, then we are headed to an economic crisis. We cannot continue at 1 or 2% growth every year. I mean, people, of course, know we have high population growth, so what that's meant is per capita terms, we've got poor. We've got poor in 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. And the question, of course, is, at what point is that a social crisis? And we may have the answer to that. So the reason we say all this is we don't want to focus on the debt, because the debt is not the primary issue. The primary issue is the economy is simply not growing fast enough.
Right. So what should the government prioritize, with this SDR coming in?
Well, I mean, we've also been very clear on this. There's really, one priority I've just mentioned, which is unlocking dead assets. So we unlock those assets, they're going to produce a return, we're going to have economic growth, we'll have growth in the real estate sector, we'll have growth in other sectors, and we'll have growth in tax revenue. So we won't have this issue where we're spending 98% of our tax revenue on debt service. But in terms of where the government should be directing resources, we've also been very clear. The two primary things are health and education. We should be investing in Nigeria's young people. I mean, the other part that we put into the equation, of course, is our biggest export is in oil. I mean, you opened the show talking about the oil price, but oil is really increasingly inconsequential to Nigeria. The biggest flow, of course, is the diaspora remittances. I mean, we are exporting Nigerian brains, and increasingly we're exporting Nigerian brains without them leaving Nigeria. And we've said that we should focus on. So let's invest in people, particularly Nigeria's young people. Health and education have to be at the top of the list. It has to make more sense to invest in Nigerian young people who, both from a human viewpoint, but also from an economic viewpoint, have much more potential than investing in Agio Foods of Steel or investing in the refineries, where if they were valuable, we could get the private sector to invest their capital.
Wow, wow, very, very fresh views there
Yeah.
coming from Mr. Nevin. Thank you so
Best
much,
in
Chief
the young
Economist
people.
at PwC Nigeria, for giving us fresh eyes into the issue, especially of the SDR, and of course, the issue of where the government should prioritize at
Thank
this
you.
time. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
So after the break, last week, the president of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Mr. Mansour Ahmed, spoke about some challenges which man is facing. We'll discuss that and much more. That'll be after the break. To stay with us. It's Business Morning on Channels Television.